Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host, Simon Conboy. Another game preview coming up. This episode I'll be focusing on the matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the Tennessee Titans. A really interesting game, this one. Feel like the Titans, they have something to prove. They need to beat a legitimate team to get people really talking about them, thinking about them as one of the potential playoff teams in the AFC. And the Seahawks, they just need to try and fix this offense somehow. So I'm going to go through the key matchups in this game, discuss my thoughts on how both teams are going to attack it and how I think the game winds up. I'm going to start with this broken Seattle offense. And much like last season, this offensive line is atrocious. If anything, this year the line looks even worse. Russell Wilson's fully healthy. I'm not sure how long he's going to stay that way at this point. He managed to get a bit of a run game going last week. However, I think it's going to be pretty tough sledding this week. At this point in time, all teams have to do when they're playing this Seahawks team is just throw guys at the backfield, and it's working. I feel it's a pretty rough matchup for the Seahawks offensive line. Casey hasn't really had much success early in this year, probably the Titans' best defensive player, but both of the edge rushers in Derek Morgan and Brian Arakpo are good players, and they played very well last week against the Jags. I think they could certainly have similar success here in this game. Titans have also got better play from the middle linebackers than I may have expected. They looked very good last week stopping Leonard Fournette. I expect to see a similar sort of approach from them. I just simply do not think this Seahawks offensive line has the ability to hold up. This is a pretty good front that the Titans are offering, particularly on the edges. I feel they could end up being a bit overwhelmed. The weakness the Titans have, I'm not sure the Seattle Seahawks can make the most of at this point in time. The Titans' corners, inexperienced other than Logan Ryan, not particularly high quality. Adoree Jackson, still learning the ropes. He's a bit raw. Can see the athletic talent there. And Logan Ryan is a fine player. The safety play a little bit spotty. But thus far, because of these offensive line issues, the Seahawks have had no ability to go down the field whatsoever. Doug Baldwin's been very quiet. You'd think he could have his way with the guys in this secondary with his route running ability, general savvy and the broken plays. But those opportunities simply have not been there. If this protection can hold up to any degree, I think he can have massive success in this game. Hard to judge Paul Richardson at this point. He made some plays last week, but again, this passing game is just so damn spotty. Jimmy Graham has been an absolute non-factor to this point. They've tried to use him blocking. There's a lot of gifs of people showing the futility in him attempting that. If it's a problem, why not get a proper blocking tight end in there? There's no reason to have Jimmy Graham in on those plays. There is just none whatsoever. He offers next to nothing. Need to find a way to get him going. These linebackers that the Titans have, I'm not sure they're the best in coverage. The safeties, they're not the greatest either. They've got to try and find a way to get a short, efficient passing game going. But, I mean, they're struggling to set Wilson up to even throw those at this point. And the run game showed something last week with Chris Carson. I think he's going to be the guy moving forwards, unless Rawls can really impress them in practice during the week. Might end up being a bit of a split, but I think Carson's probably going to be the guy for the short term. I can't see them having too much success. I think we'll see a very similar game plan from Tennessee as to what we saw last week against the Jags, where they pretty much sold out and said, we're just going to put pressure on the pocket, crush the run game on the way there. And Leonard Fournette was basically just running into a wall of Titans players on just about every play. I think we'll see a similar thing. I don't know if Carson's equipped to have success with that being the case. It's going to be tough sledding. If you're the Seahawks, you have to do everything you can at the moment, I think, to keep Wilson upright and try and get some rhythm in this passing game. That might mean using tight ends other than Jimmy Graham to block. It might mean putting Thomas Rawls in for pass protection purposes. It might involve getting CJ Procise more involved, trying to use screen plays. Anything that can divert the Titans' pass rushers away from just going after Russell Wilson on every single play. It is needed. They need to... with the way the Titans are going to attack this game, they can't rely on the run being the most effective thing to do. So I think you're going to have to see some bootlegs, you're going to have to see some screens, and you're going to have to see some quick passing plays, maybe some slant type routes, in order to try and get the Titans just to back off a little, because I don't think they're going to have the ability to throw deep or throw intermediate, even call play action. I don't think the Titans will show any respect to that early in this game. So they've got to try and get the Titans off of what they're doing. If they can do that, I think Doug Baldwin can win some matchups on the outside for sure. I think Jimmy Graham could have some significant plays over the middle, and I think this run game can then have some success because of the balance they may be able to offer. Possibly Wilson's going to have to run for his life in this game. He's going to have to avoid mistakes. He's great at avoiding mistakes, but he's going to have to do so. And he's just going to need to throw the ball a bit more. I think the Titans are equipped to get some points on this defence. They're going to have to be more effective than they have been in the last two games. The Niners offence, not a particularly good one. Played very well against the Packers, but I think the Titans pose different problems to what the Packers do. Gave up, a big play to Carlos Hyde. They're going to have to do a good job against the run because we know that's what the Titans like to do. Going to have to see more from this offensive line. If they play like they have in the last few weeks, last couple of weeks, then I do not see an opportunity for Seattle to win this game, or at least for the offense to be a significant factor in them winning the game. If you're the Titans defense, pretty much summed most of it up there. Go after Russell Wilson. Make sure you contain him with those two edge rushers. They've got the ability to do so whilst maintaining integrity in the middle. I think they can do that. I think they'll be blitz happy in this game. Dick LeBeau normally doesn't like to send too many guys, but I think this week he will. It's going to be about stopping Carson and keeping Wilson just under constant pressure. I think he's going to mix it up. Try and maybe get Wilson to rush a couple of throws over the middle perhaps, with some zone type blitzes, and hope for a big play that way. And I think they're not going to show a lot of respect to these receivers. I'd expect to see them pressing them, making those quick, short timing routes even more difficult to do. Basically just saying to the Seahawks, try and block us for long enough to get something off down the field. I dare you. I dare you to run the ball successfully. Try and get to the outside on us. That's how I see the Titans approaching this game. The Seahawks have to simply get them out of that with the options I suggested. If so, then the Titans are going to have to compete a lot harder on the defensive side. I'm not sure they've got the guys to match up with these receivers particularly well. However, I see a lot of success for the Titans in this one. I think Jarrell Casey has a really big day against that interior. I think these two pass rushers have a big day, and I think Wilson just has another game running around like headless chicken trying to make something out of this offense. On the other side of the field, man, this Seahawks defense is impressive. Last week it was just the Niners, but still, to hold a quarterback to under 100 yards, regardless of the incompetence of the offense opposite them, that's pretty darn impressive. They did a great job in week 1 on the Packers. They are who we thought they were, to quote the great Denny Green. The great Denny Green press conference that I replay every now and then because it makes me feel better about life. Similar in this on this side of things, except the Titans have a great line. They really do, and I'm looking forward to seeing that matchup. These edge rushes against these tackles. Much better play from the Titans line last week, much more like what we expected. They're holding a little too much, but they're not allowing Mariota to get hit a particularly large amount. I think Bennett is the key to this one. He's going to have to be at his absolute disruptive best against the run and the pass. The Titans are a team that do a good job mixing things up. I think we're going to see a bit more of Derrick Henry this week. Whether he becomes the lead back, I'm not sure at this stage. I would hope so, based on what we've seen from DeMarco Murray thus far. It just feels like there's something a little off. There's a lack of explosion there, and Henry really was the guy that changed the way this Titans offense felt in the second half. It looked a lot more like the 2016 version of the Titans with him running the ball. Bennett's going to have to do a good job there. We're going to need to see Richardson have a big day. If there's a weakness to this, it's the interior. The two tackles are both very good. Delaney Walker's a good blocker. I expect to see him used a bit more in pass protection than we have in previous weeks, showing that respect to Averill and Bennett as edge rushers. They're going to have good, big games to slow these guys down, because on the outside, I don't know where Sherman necessarily... Sherman I just don't think is a factor in this game. In terms of targets, I don't think the Titans are going to go anywhere near him. He's going to do his job. He's a good run defender, and still he started this season a lot better than I think he's played last year. I just think the Titans avoid him. The thing for the Titans, it's not such a big deal. Corey Davis is going to miss this game, so as a result, really their top receiver is once again Delaney Walker. They'll move guys about. Sherman will stick to a side. I think they'll just try and basically avoid him like the plague. It's the smart thing to do. There's no reason to test him with the guys that you have. Eric Decker, I think, needs to try and get off the schneid a bit. Doesn't seem to have developed any kind of chemistry with Mariota at this point. Decker's the savvy veteran guy there that should be relied upon to pick up some of the slack along with Delaney Walker in terms of converting third downs on tough physical catches. That's yet to happen, so I think he's got a big role to play. Sherman won't be matched up on him, I wouldn't think, too often. I think that would probably be Rashard Matthews. If Sherman is to follow anyone, it'll likely be Rashard Matthews. He's the most explosive guy other than Tyrwan Taylor, but Taylor will see limited snaps, so we're going to have to see, I think, him step up, particularly in the red zone, where the Seahawks are just going to stack that box and dare these guys to win one-on-one matchups. He's going to have to win a couple of them, well, one or two over the course of this game, I think, if this passing attack's going to have success. Tough day for Delaney Walker, I think, I think he'll be doing a lot of blocking. I don't see him having a lot of success against this group of backers in this safety group. We're going to see a ton of Cam Chancellor in the box trying to slow down this run game. They've been very good against the run. I know Hyde gashed them on that one run last week, but other than that, they're still pretty stout there. It's going to have to go through the middle. The edges are very difficult to get on this Seahawks team. They're very fast at the linebacker position. The safeties and the corners, well, Sherman and the safeties, they tackle very well and they can get there. So the best way for the Titans to attack them will be directly up the middle. Sheldon Richardson's not the most disciplined run defender. He's talented, but I think they can maybe have some success running at him. They're going to have to try and get a body on Wagner. I don't know how they try and do that. I think we might see a lot of fullback play in this game just to try and get someone there, because Wagner is a punishing defender. And the Titans they have to have that success up the gut to open up everything else. If they can't, I can't see him having too much success. The passing game, Mario has struggled with his mechanics a little bit thus far this year. The chemistry's not there with a lot of these receivers. I think Tyrwan Taylor needs to be used. They need to have that field stretcher there. There's not enough speed across the rest of this offense with Corey Davis out. And I think Matthews being a non-factor in this one, because that's likely where Sherman ends up. He's going to have to, and possibly even Jonnu Smith, those two guys have the athleticism and speed to potentially threaten this team down the seams. And I think that's where you've got to try and attack them, particularly with the 8-man fronts that you're likely to see with a lot of Chancellor playing in the box this week. You're just going to see that base cover 3 with Earl Thomas over the top. You've got to try and get those seam routes going. I think if you can get that run game going up the middle, that opens up the play action where you can really expose players on those routes. You can hit a few comeback routes, and then maybe you can get some bootlegs, some outside stuff going from there. But it's going to be tough. If the Titans can't run the ball successfully, I can't see them having much success in this game. I expect to see them being incredibly run heavy. I don't think they put the ball in Mariota's hands too much. He has not played against too many defences like this one over the course of his career. In terms of the Seahawks' defensive game plan, there's not really much to say. You know what they're going to do. They do not change it much. on a weekly basis. They'll line up in their cover 3. Chancellor, they're a run-heavy team. He's going to be doing his thing down in the box. Thomas will be sitting over the top. And it'll just be a case of how good is this Titans offense, really. It's going to be a real big test for them. The issue the Seahawks may have, I think we saw it in the game against the Packers, they just started to get a bit tired. That's something that this Titans team certainly has the ability to do, to grind them down. And if this Seahawks offense plays anything like it has the last couple of weeks, that's going to happen, and this Titans power run game is eventually going to take its toll. If the Seahawks offense can play well enough to keep this game, the time of possession in this game, somewhat reasonable, keep this defense rested, I do like the Seahawks with their experience and the quality of that defense. I think they'll generate a turnover or 2 in this game. I like the Seahawks to win this one, but based on what I have seen from the Seahawks line, I can't do that. I think it's a horrible matchup for them at this point in time with the way the Titans defense has been looking. They look tough against the run this year, and you've got to be able to take advantage of that secondary like the Raiders did. Even the Jets, they played the Raiders. That's why I was thinking Jets, and the Jags couldn't do it last week. I think we're looking at a fairly similar situation. So I've got the Titans winning this one, unless we see that improvement from Seattle. If they can, then I think we get Seattle experience a win today. But in a minute, I'm going Titans in. A real big statement game for them. The Seahawks, I think they come out of this one, and a lot of people will be saying, well, not saying, they're already saying it, but the questions about this line will be even louder because this offense at the minute is bordering on broken. I say bordering, it is broken. If it wasn't for Russell Wilson, this team would definitely be 0-2, and there wouldn't be much hope. It's a real shame because that defense is stellar once again. So maybe they'll get it together. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts. Let me know, what do you guys think? Do you think this is as important for the Titans as I do? I really think they need to get a statement win that kind of announces that they are the team to beat in the AFC South, because that is a weak division. Even if they lose this game, it probably doesn't necessarily bode too badly for their future. But still, similar with the Seahawks, these two divisions both look a mess right now. So it may not be as significant a game as we'd like come the end of the year. But give us a shout. We've got the Cover Zero Facebook page, got the comment section down below. You can find me on Twitter at Simon Conboy. Always happy to talk football. Check out some of the other stuff we've got on the channel. There'll be more game previews, game reviews going up. Every Wednesday now we'll be live streaming. That'll be a review of the previous week, a preview of the following week. So that's well worth checking out. That'll be around 8 PM UK time. So about 3 Eastern time in the States. Go straight up on the site afterwards. You'll be able to watch that later on in the evening if you're so inclined. Definitely think you should. Me and a couple of friends talking ball. I think they've been enjoyable to do. Hopefully they're as enjoyable to watch. And if you can like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon, all that good stuff, it will be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. As always, really do appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great evening, and go Bucks.